this module, we're going to talk a little bit more about the importance of your images, or some people might call them photos or your graphics. They are so important in your success on Amazon that I can't understate it enough. And when you're first starting out, you may not have a lot of money to spend on images. Creating quality images can get up into the $1,000 plus. There's companies out there that have package deals where they'll shoot your images for you. Some of them are like $300, $400, $500. There's also software companies that will take your images and like Photoshop them into a background or kind of create fake backgrounds and put your image. Say it's a kitchen product, they'll make it look like it's on a kitchen table or on a countertop in a stock photo. There's lots of things that you can do. And in the beginning, you might have to go with one of those type of services because you just don't have the budget to do it. But once you get your product proven and up and running, I highly recommend you invest in images because your images are what's going to really set you apart. People cannot touch your product. They can't feel it. They can't smell it. So the way you have to convey that is through your photography and through the images on Amazon. And so, like I said in the past, your title is so important for people discovering you, the keywords that you have in your title. Your price is important for conversions, but your images, I think, are probably the third most, maybe even the second most, maybe even more important than price on conversions, because with great images, you can actually justify a higher price. And so many people just, they skimp on images. They take the photos with their cell phone, or they have their buddy down the street who has a nice DSL, one of these $3,000 or $4,000 cameras, take the pictures for them. But the problem is they don't know lighting. They don't know shadows. They don't know depth of field. They don't know composition. They don't know the rule of thirds. There's a lot of things in taking quality images. They don't know, to put a human face in the photo, at least a couple of your photos. A smiling human face can make a huge difference in some of your images, for example. They don't know all these things. So hiring a professional to do this is crucial. Now, what I like to do is I create FPOs. Now, I have a background in this, so I kind of know a little bit more than some people. But I'll create what's called an FPO. That stands for for position only. So what I will do is I'll have a professional photographer take my actual pictures. But I'll take my iPhone and I'll take my product and set it on the dining room table. And I'll take a picture and say, hey, I want you to shoot it from this angle. Then maybe I'll turn it a different way. I say, I want you to shoot it from this angle. And maybe if I'm showing it's got 3 or 4 parts, I said I'll take those 3 or 4 parts, spread them out, just to give them an idea of kind of what I'm looking at. Or maybe I'll even go into Amazon and I'll pull some images of my competition that I like. Those are called tears, T-E-A-R-S. Or maybe even a magazine ad. I'll flip through some magazines for my industry, and maybe I'll go to the websites for those and look at their product photography, or go to something like Zulily or Touch of Modern or some of these guys and just get ideas of photos that I like, and then I'll give that to the photographer and say, hey, this is kind of what I'm looking for. Can you do something similar to this for my product? Versus what a lot of people just do is they just take their product, send it to a photographer or one of these services and say, hey, make some killer images for me. And they leave it totally up to their discretion. And sometimes you get great stuff and sometimes you get garbage back, or you're going back and forth making changes. So you're doing the research. It's your product. You should know what's working out there with your competition and what angle you're going after. But you always have to remember with your photos that people eat with their eyes first. Your photos are what's going to draw people in. The keywords get them to the page or get them to the search results, but your imagery is what's going to get people to actually click. That generates the curiosity, or it's the validation of this is what I was looking for. And always remember, this is my good friend Mark Don, who used to say this all the time, you're going to be judged by your worst image. So don't have like 6 or 7 really great images and a couple of just so-so images. Make all your images killer. Make them go together cohesively in a theme, not all over the place. Because think about it as if you were dating, if you're on one of these dating apps, and you're looking at a potential person you're going to go out on a date with, and you're looking at 5 pictures of them, and 4 of them they look super hot, just exactly what you like. And then you come across this 5th one, and it's just not a very flattering picture, or it's shown in a different light. You're like, whoa, I didn't realize they look like this, and the other 4, that might be what I get. So always remember, you're judged by your worst image. But when you're creating images, one of the things I always like to do is split test my images. Split testing means see which one is going to work better than the other. A lot of times what we do as sellers is we take our best guess, or it's something that we think this the product looks the best in this, or this is the best picture that the photographer took. But in fact, that may not be what's going to get the most clicks and the most people actually looking at your listing. Some people don't ask their spouse or their kids or their next door neighbor, and which ones do you like? That's also not a very good way to do it. You're too close to the product, and those people are too close to you. You need a very objective point of view from someone that doesn't know atom about you or your product or what you're trying to do. So there's software tools that will do this for you, but the problem with these tools is they take generally about a week or two to get results. And they can be great. They're based on statistical and mathematical science and all this kind of stuff, and they can be fairly accurate. But they can also be really inaccurate because things can change during the testing period. The testing period needs to be constant. And if you're running a lightning deal or a competitor comes in and does something crazy, it can really throw off your test. Plus, I'm just a little bit impatient. I don't like to wait 7 days to 14 days to get my results back. I like to have them in like 30 minutes or an hour. I'm sitting here working on my listing. I want to get this thing done. I want to know what's the best one I should use. So what I like to do is split test my photos. For example, let's say I was considering doing this product right here, this beauty product. I had 6 bottles, and I was going to put it in a nice little wooden case with a little bow on it. And this was my main product image. It's on the white background, and this might be the one I was thinking of. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? Maybe it'd be better to show all 6 bottles spread out. Kind of looks like you're getting more. Is this a better one to do? Well, in this particular case, from the one on the left to the one on the right, the correct one that I should have used is the one on the left. And how did I know that? Other than maybe my gut intuition, but how did I know that with quite a bit of confidence? I use a site called PickFu, P-I-C-K-F-U. Now this site costs a little bit of money, but it's a great way to get answers really, really quick. They go out and they poll an audience of people all over the internet based on some criteria you enter, and you get answers back right away. And it's not just which picture you like is the best, but they'll also give you feedback and they'll give you their insight. And sometimes just by reading their insights, they have to write some comments. You can go, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that color was turning some people off. I should change the color. I didn't realize people didn't understand that it comes with this particular accessory. I need to make sure I emphasize that. If you go to pickfu.com, you can actually see kind of what they do, but it's not just images that you can test. You can also test your product name, maybe your brand name. You can test your descriptions. You can test packaging if you're thinking about what kind of packaging should I use. You can even test videos if you create some videos, or what kind of bonus should you add. Should it be a PDF, a cookbook, or should it be maybe an extra spatula or something? You can test headlines for your ads, your Facebook ads, all kinds of stuff. It's a great tool to use, and I use it regularly for almost all of my products. For example, here's something from an Amazon seller. They were considering between these 2 pictures to show the little baby outfits here. And the PickFu went out to 50 Amazon Prime members. So these were Prime members. It wasn't some random people on the internet, but people that buy on Amazon. It took less than 30 minutes, and you can see here by a huge margin, like 80%, over 80% of the people preferred the one on the right. So you should probably go with that as your main image. Here's one where someone was creating some packaging design, and as you can see, the one on the right overwhelmingly outperformed the one on the left. Or here's someone who was trying to figure out what words should they put on these little pots that they're going to sell, and in what order. They determined that the keywords that people were looking for this was great, but what should I put on here to try to differentiate the product? Everybody else is doing white. I'm going to put some words on here. So they had 4 options here, and you can see that option C got over half of the votes. So that's probably the one that you should go with. This is a great tool to get answers really, really quick. So all you got to do is, if you go to PickFu, is you just go in there, you sign up for an account, and you create a poll. Now it's going to cost you a little bit of money, and you'll be like, man, I don't got $50 or $100 to spend. But do you have $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000 to lose? That's the way I look at it. This is business, and you need to get it right. So don't skimp here. So I can go in here, I can say I want votes and explanations. As I upload my images, you can do two. I upload my headlines or descriptions. You see there's an option to add a third option. The feeds on the right will change depending on how many options and different things you do. You enter the question you want to ask, and you say how many people do you want this to go out to. 50 is usually okay. I mean, 30 is statistically valid, so 50 is a reasonable number, and I'll save you some money. But if you just want to do more, that's cool. Then you can go in and you can actually choose an audience. They have some defined things. If I'm selling cosmetics like here, I can say only show this to people who are interested in cosmetics, for example, or maybe automotives. If you hit the little down arrow, you'll see a whole bunch of options that they have. You can also add that you only want Amazon Prime members in this second one here to give you responses. If they're not an Amazon Prime member, what do you really care what they think? Because they don't buy on Amazon. Buyers on Etsy or eBay or some other sites can be a little bit different state of mind or different way of thinking than Amazon buyers, who are usually more likely to spend a little bit more money. So you can put Amazon Prime members, and there's a whole bunch of other options you can put down in here as well. Now what's going to happen is once you run this, you can get demographics back on everybody that answered you. So you can see if the people who responded really fit your demographic profile. You're going to get stuff like their education, a whole bunch of different demographic stuff, their ethnicity. So you can see if your product is really slanting towards a certain ethnicity, maybe that's the type of model you should be using in your product. Or who knows, you can get so much information here from these polls. And then, plus, like I said earlier, everybody that answers, they don't just say I like option A or option B. They also have to give you a comment. And by reading these comments, you can often discover either new ideas, oh my gosh, that's a great idea, I should add this to it, or you'll see something in there that you just didn't realize because you're too close to the product, and these people will actually point something out that you may have overlooked. It's really, really cool. I mean, this is one of my clients here from that I was helping. They were doing this brain supplement, this energy drink, and were trying to decide, should we just show the bottle big and put a little logo in the top corner that says 12-pack. Now, that's Amazon doesn't like you doing that, putting that little 12-pack. A lot of people do it. Sometimes Amazon will add that, but just be aware by putting any kind of graphic like that in the image is technically against the terms of service. But they were doing it anyway and just taking a chance they might get their hand slapped. Or should we show it in the packaging because they come as a case of 12? And it looks like there's a lot more. Which one of these should we do? So they sent that out to PickFu and create a little poll. And you can see here that by a 2-to-1 margin, the one on the left won. And people gave their reason why. So they changed from they were using the one on the right. They changed to be using the one on the left. And this is what happened. This is from their back end on Seller Central. You can see before they made the change, they had about 1,000 people during this month period looking at it. Sold 164 units, 16% basically conversion rate, not bad. About $7,500 in product sales. But then they changed it and went to 1,400, so a 40% jump in sessions. Sold 254 units. And their session percentage went up to almost 18%. So it's pretty significant. Now, they did have a little bit of a price change in here too, but still it's a very significant difference. And so just by changing the image, it can add a few $1,000 or more to your success. Now, another thing on images I just want to touch on here, just want to give you a few ideas and insights on things that you can do to really help you differentiate yourself. These are called bully sticks. They're dog treats, and they're super popular on Amazon. I don't recommend you get into this space because it's pretty competitive, but they're a favorite treat of dogs. And this was someone's main image picture for it's just horrible. I mean, it looks like they shot in the corner of their pantry or something. A horrible, horrible picture, the way they did it. Here's another one where they're using some lifestyle pictures, and just take a look at it. It says up in the top right-hand corner, "My dog likes." But look at the dog on the right. He doesn't even want the daggum thing. This is horrible, horrible lifestyle imagery. Take a look at this one. You see the guy is stuck in his back porch with his camera, and you see his shoe, and he's giving the treat to a dog. These are not very well done images. Yes, they may be making a little bit of sales, but with proper images, you can oftentimes really boost your sales up. These are some of the images that I created for some of my dog treats that I sold. Notice there's people in every single, happy people, happy dogs, in every single photo. I show the treat, I show the people, I show the pleasure of using the product, I show the results of using the product. This is much better lifestyle photography than this type of stuff. And this can justify people having more trust in you because they don't know who you are. They never heard of your brand a lot of times. They see this kind of stuff and they're like, oh, this looks like a big brand. This looks good. This looks like something I want to do. Another thing you can do is if you don't want to spend a lot on imagery, is you can have cartoons made. Now you can't do this on your main image. Your main image has to be a photo. But on your images 2 through 9, you can have graphics and some other stuff. The terms of service say you're supposed to only have photos all the way across, but it's not something Amazon forces. They enforce it on the main image, but on all the other ones, it's typically pretty okay. But in this particular case, I'm showing the before and after in this cartoon. The top part, top left, is showing that this guy, a traditional ab roller, they're cheap, and this is a little bit bigger guy, and he's trying to use it, and it just breaks. Versus the one on the right, which if he uses mine, it works great. He's got some good muscles. The girls in the back kind of checking him out a little bit. So it paints that picture. Picture is 1,000 words kind of thing, and it makes the guy go, oh yeah, I might like to be like that. Here's another version of the same product. I had this done by, one of these was done by a woman, and one was done by a man illustrator, and I gave them a little bit of direction, but they have a different perspective on things. And so this one's the same product, but the top part is showing the before, where you have a baby that's just crying. The woman's trying to use it, and it's a traditional ab roller with only 2 wheels, and it's hurting her back, and she doesn't have the upper body strength. But she uses my 3-wheel roller. She's happy. She's getting a good workout. The baby is chill. And so this shows a before and after, and this is another great way to differentiate your product. Now, where did I get this done? This is an exact copy of the post that I put on a site called Upwork, upwork.com. So I just posted this. It's free to post on there. Sign up for an account, and you can set a price you're willing to pay, and people will submit their work to you. And then you can decide who is the best based on whatever criteria you have. You can pick who you like the best or who you think will do the best job, and then let them do it for you. I think it's better than Fiverr or some of the other sites that are out there, and usually it's pretty reasonable. In this particular case, it only cost me $50 to have these things done each. That's fairly cheap, and it really helps differentiate the product. Now let's go back to our little bully sticks example. And I'm going to give you a real-life example with one of my products. I no longer sell this product because the price of meat got a little bit too high, but for me to justify what I was doing. But for about a year and a half, 2 years, this did really, really well. Most people are doing stuff on Amazon like the guy on the left. That's not my product. They take a plastic bag and they stick a label on it with their brand and some sort of packaging and maybe the ASIN and barcode and stuff. And that's the easy way out. That's the just down and dirty way to do it. And that's the way a lot of people are doing it, because they don't want to take the time to do it right, or they don't have the know-how to do it right. They got 30 or some odd sticks in there, and they're selling this for, I don't know, 30, 35 bucks maybe, 25 bucks. I don't know the exact price, but not very much. And so is everybody else. Everybody else is selling the exact same similar thing, and they're all trying to beat each other up on price or doing Facebook ads or different marketing hacks trying to stay on top, and it just becomes a nightmare. So what I did is when I launched this product, instead of putting 30 in a plastic bag with a label, I put 3 in a cigar box. And I had a little logo called Made, that says Made in the USA. Because I went out and I read all the reviews, we talked about this in earlier modules, saw what people were complaining about, and they were complaining they were worried about the meat being from another country, so I emphasized the Made in USA. They were talking about, these are really thin and stretched sticks, mine are big and thick, and so on. So I fixed all the problems that people were complaining about, and I put 3 in a cigar box. So when it comes in the mail, think about when you get an Apple phone or a Samsung or Galaxy or one of those nice phones. Packaging is remember that eat with the eyes first. Packaging can justify a higher price just in the coolness and the design of the packaging. So people getting this in a cigar box were like, holy cow, this must be some really good treats, or they would use it to give as a gift for a dog sitter or whatever. I had a guy that bought this stuff from me 100 and some odd times. He just kept buying it over and over and over. So, but how am I going to compete with 3 sticks in a cigar box versus these guys selling 30? The guy on the left is selling his for about 30 bucks, let's say. What do you think I sold the one on the right? Go ahead and say it out loud right now. My 3 sticks on the right. How much do you think I sold that for? I'm hearing some people. I'm guessing, I'm going to read your mind right now. I'm guessing you're saying 35, 40 bucks, 20 bucks. Someone might have said 50 bucks. The answer was $54.95. You know, whoa, wait a second. You're like, what? Wait. 3 sticks for $54.95 versus the one on the left, 30 some odd sticks for about 30 bucks. Kevin, you're probably not selling any of these things. Oh no, I'm actually selling quite a few, 10 to 15 a day. The guy on the left, he might be selling 40 or 50 a day, but he's making $2 or $3 on each one. I'm selling my 10. I don't have any problems. I'm not on the top of the page. I'm down at the bottom of the page. Even the big keyword like bully sticks, I'm not even on page 1. But there's enough other keywords like odorless bully sticks or premium bully sticks or bully sticks made in the USA where I can rank easier on those longer tail keywords. And so that's what I did. And my profit margins are significantly higher. I found a classically trained French chef in the United States that created these for me. 15-step all natural process. And I used all that in my marketing. I went to a place and had pictures taken with dogs in a little chef hat because it's, you know, and all my stuff is like, these are from a classically trained French chef. And I was playing on people that have their animals. They treat them like their kids. They spoil them. And so that's the little niche that I was going after. I wasn't going after the big niche of people who have a dog in the backyard and don't really care, just throw something out there for them to eat. I'm going after that sub niche of people who really care about their dog and really want to give them a good treat. And so I said, these are from a classically trained French chef. I created cartoons, or the top of the picture is showing the traditional dog treats, where it's a bunch of dogs in a car going through a fast food place like a McDonald's and getting some cheap stuff. And then I contrast that as you get mine. Down at the bottom, it's like going to the best steakhouse in town, where you have all the dogs and a guy in a tux, bow tie, serving them and everything. It connotates that image. It kind of plants that seed like, oh wow, these are definitely premium and not cheap, and it positions it so that the customer, as they're scrolling through my images, it starts to justify my price and my quality, and they're like, oh, you know, these may be actually better. I'll go ahead and check them out. How did I get all this information again? I went on to my competition, and I used the Helium 10 Chrome extension and used the review downloader to download everything, see what people are complaining about, and then I used that information to create my next graphics. That sometimes people call these infographics. And so my images 3, 4, 5, 6 look like this. You can't do this on your main image, but my additional images, I would show ours are full inside. Others are stretched and hollow. Ours are wide. Other ones are thin. Ours they're odorless and they don't have any grease or they don't leave any residue. The other competitions, they stink. You got to hold your nose. Ours are hand cut by hand. Other ones are processed on some big machine. I show the size comparisons between them. And this type of infographics can do really, really well for your sales and for your product. Here's some examples of some other ones for some other products that of mine in the past. I actually put the suggested exercises for an ab roller so people could see what this, if they're debating shave and buy an ab roller, or should I get some other device. I show that here's some ways you can use it. And the one on the right shows a whole bunch of different things that come in it. You know, I listed this in my bullet points, but I also show it in my graphics. Because a lot of people will never read the bullet points. They'll just skim the graphics, look at the price, and go, well, okay, these images justify the price. Here's another one where I showed, I showed the wheel is totally different. Other ones, some are wobbly and hard to control. These are solid and easy to control. The picture on the right shows everything you get. It shows all the dimensions and the sizes, so people that are wondering, how big is this thing? I showed all that. Here's some for a crate maker I did. Even I even put in my graphics there, please don't lick or eat this screen. People looking at these pictures are like, holy cow. And the one on the right shows, look, these are the pancakes, and this is a true statement. It's not some Photoshop thing. We made these with with our Perfect Crate Maker machine. And so these types of images, people are like, oh wow, I wish I could. I hope I can make that this weekend. I'm gonna get one of these things if that's what comes out of them. Here's another one where I made my image stand out by taking the product and actually spelling out a word. These were duck treats for dogs. So I have a stack of the product. It looks like a big stack. Some people might just show it in the bag. But what I like to do is have it spilling out of the bag or show a big stack of the product, and then take some of the individual units. This works if you have products that have a lot of pieces to them, and then spell something out like duck or dog or treat or something. And then what I do is I take this photo, and I will go over to, I'll type in duck treats for dogs on Amazon, and I will take the page that comes up with all the search results. Say it's 24 search results. I will then take my product, like this picture here, I will Photoshop it into the page and maybe say position number 6 and see if it stands out. See if it catches your eye as you're scrolling across there to the colors, or does something catch the eye. And the word duck makes you stop in this case and go, ooh, what is that? And at least they stop, and hopefully when they stop, they'll click out of curiosity. And hopefully then my other images and my price and my list, my bullet points and everything else will justify that this should be the one that they should buy. So these are just some little tips and tricks and some things I want you to be thinking about as you're creating your images. And hopefully this has helped you and given you a little bit different perspective on things. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one.